majority of African Americans that lived here were brought over here.
No,
No.
that's not economically sound.
What do you mean by it's not economically sound?
So what I'm saying is, people were already here. Does it make sense to go all the way to this other continent to bring people on a boat when we know that half of your stock is gonna die? You wouldn't do that.
So how many people do you think were brought over from Africa on slave ships? Because that definitely happened.
The power is in the story. The power is in the official narrative. To be able to tell a story, to make people believe the future stories that you're going to tell to enslave them. For almost 10 years now on my channel, my two biggest points to focus on as a means to expose the official narrative and the power behind that official narrative was the power behind lying to the original people of this land about their history and what it means, and lying to them about their cosmology, their historical interpretations of reality. When you challenge their official narrative, you're challenging their power. You're challenging the grasp, the grip that they have over your mind. People like Joe Rogan are paid for nothing less than to maintain the official narrative.
So how many people do you think were brought over from Africa on slave ships? Because that definitely happened.
They give him all that money, not because he's super talented. It's because he was chosen to maintain a particular storyline. A storyline and the intelligence that will in no way threaten the standing army or the intellectual godhood of that standing army.
I don't believe it.
What do you mean you don't believe it?
I don't believe that story. You think this whole land was empty? No, there were natives here.
Right.
But today we're taught that natives is some other people. No, natives are the melanated African being that has come here since the beginning of the Mali Empire. We're talking about 14th, 13th century. We had already come here from Africa.
Really?
Oh yeah, we had already come here. You know, maybe people were brought over as slaves, but I don't think that the black people in America came from Africa on slave ships. I believe the people that were here were slowly conquered. First they got the East Coast, and then they started spreading out west little by little, conquering. And when you conquer a tribe, what do? You enslave them. They're POWs. Right?
Okay.
That's what you do.
But I'm still confused. There's a great history of slave ships being brought over from Africa. What do you mean you don't believe it?
Everything that this system is standing upon right now stands on that foundation based upon the masses believing that the only reason that they are in power is because their intelligence has gotten them there. And you believe their intelligence has gotten them there because the way they have told history to the masses maintains that their intellectual prowess is what their colonial powers are based upon. They conquered these lands. They conquered these people, not because of their brute force, but because of their intelligence. They have evolved through their belief that they sold to you through Darwinian evolution, that from monkeys to you, they are the peak of human civilization. And when you buy into that storyline, you have to buy into everything else that they are selling with that storyline. All the side dishes. The main course is their intellectual prowess, their knowledge, their understanding, and overstanding of this entire realm. This is why cosmology and your history is so important, because your history uproots the foundation of their lies. Your history not only puts you in a position of power, in a position of intelligence, in a position of knowledge over them, but it puts them in a space. The truth puts them in a space which makes them very uncomfortable.
History is his story.
Right.
What about my story? Is my story not valid?
But if you do 23andMe on from out
23andMe?
Well, that's
This is an ad for one DNA ancestry test, 23andMe. An ethnically ambiguous woman travels the world and a circle animates around her, sort of like the pie chart in my test results. as if to say, this woman's DNA is 29% East Asian. And here's an ad for a different ancestry test.
52% of my DNA comes from Scotland and Ireland.
And somehow this information compels him to wear a kilt? Alright, so what are ancestry tests really telling us? Can you help me understand what my results are telling me? Because I'm getting mixed messages from ads and how other people talk about their results. This is Wendy Roth.
I'm an associate professor of sociology at the University of British Columbia. Okay, first of all, these test results are not about your entire DNA. They're about a tiny, tiny fraction of your DNA.
But if you do 23andMe,
You have to believe in the slave trade story. You have to believe in their intelligence. You have to believe in their space programs. You have to believe in their history. You have to believe in their beliefs. You have to believe in their God. And they don't need you to believe in all of them. You only need to believe in a few of them. This is what they're calling the mainstream belief systems. The mainstream belief system in heliocentrism. The mainstream belief system in evolution. How the new world became the superpower that it is today. Because Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue and all that other da-da-da-da. Everything else that came behind that to their future storylines, their future narratives.
17 years old, I was deployed into the covert military space program, sent to Mars for 17 years.
Sent to Mars?
Yes.
How were you sent to Mars?
We were put onto a transport ship, and then that ship took off from Luna Operations Command on the moon, and then that ship went through a wormhole to Mars, so the whole trip, took a few minutes.
What is the 20 and back program?
You deploy someone for a 20-year tour of duty, and then you return them. They basically have to hatch you out a new clone that's the same age that when you left, and transfer your soul and your consciousness. The soul is actually a quantum fluid dynamic. It can be removed from one vessel and put into another.
Was it done to you? Was this body made in a laboratory?
Yeah, hatched out of a clone.
Once you have history covered over, locked down by the people's lack of ability to even think about that information, to even challenge that information, once you have that space, that foundation, then you can build upon that foundation. And what you build on that foundation, what they have built on that foundation is what? The expansion of the heliocentric illusion. So they're going to the moon, they're going to Mars, the aliens from outer space, everything else that comes from that. That is what they have built on top of that original lie, which is they are the intellectual peak of humanity. Now everybody else must follow them.
Either way, if you take black people here in America and you do their DNA sample and it point back to Africa, what does that say? It says black people in America are Africans. Now, the argument is, were we brought here or were we already here? Did we bring ourselves here or did the white man bring us here? You see, when you say the white man brought us here, what you're doing is you're removing our ability to transport ourselves. You're saying, oh, we didn't know anything about boats. That's what you're trying to tell me. You're trying to tell me that we didn't know that there was a landmass here. Go look at the primary sources. You got here, we met black people. When you got the Caribbean, we met black people. You think the Caribbean is right next to America and they weren't in America?
On top of that, they build their empire. Their empire is their interpretation of the peak of human evolution by the university system. The university system's religion, which is the mainstream science, the Western science, at the expense of your historical science. Just the same as their mainstream history is at the expense of your actual history, the truth.
I mean, when you go and you look at real European history, would believe that if they took a bath, it was bad.
right?
They didn't even want to change their clothes. They thought that dirty was purity. When we talk about the Moors going into Spain and into Europe, the stories in the history, our history, says that when we met the so-called Caucasian, he was sleeping in the barn with the animals, and we told him, no, you can't sleep in the barn with animals. We taught them etiquette. We taught them running water. We brought that technology to Europe. Now, if we brought the technology to Europe that saved Europe from the Black Plague, you mean to tell me that if we saved the white race, that we weren't already in America already? When we brought the technology, when Rome was dependent on Africa for food? Remember when the Black Plague hit Rome? The cause was one of the officials was stealing the grain that was coming from Africa. So there was famine hit Rome. If your source of sustenance is from Africa, how are you superior? You're not. You get your food from me. So if you get your food from me, who's more likely to travel this? Me, I'm the source of food. And that's the first thing you need to survive on this planet.
So once they have you believing in their foundation, this is how cosmology specifically fits into the mind control storyline. Then they can fit everything else into there. If you believe they can go to the moon, that's a power. That's a power over other nations. If you believe they can go to Mars, that's a bigger power. When you listen to the video like this,
They basically have to hatch you out a new clone that's the same age that when you left and transfer your soul and your consciousness.
then you can believe they can transfer consciousness. You're talking about God power now, not just industrial scientific power. You're talking about God level power. It's another layer of control, of manipulation, of belief, of tentacles that get into the minds and the hearts of the masses to lock you down. If you do not believe in their heliocentric illusions at the expense of your ancestral cosmology, if you do not believe in that, you will not believe that they have the power to transfer consciousness from one body to another. This is how they all fit together. It's all coming around the science, the religion of science. The science religion within their university institutions is the power grid that they build upon, that they sell to the masses. Making you believe that they can go to the moon will buy time. They will get 10, 20, 30, 40. How many years have they gotten now? 50, 60 years out of that original lie. The CERN program right behind that, wormholes, interdimensional travel, now transferring consciousness from one body to another so they can now put clones in your mindset. These two videos right here pretty much encompass everything that I've uploaded on my YouTube channel for the past almost 10 years now. Lying to you about your history to maintain their power over you. They brought you to the new world. They gave you your religion. They saved you and get you to heaven. They push your industrial revolution to the max. They evolve your human reality. They give you your creature comforts. Everything that you are, everything that you have, everything that you think you are has been given to you by them. That's where they get that power, because we give it to them, because we don't know how powerful we are or where we've come from. We don't know what we've done. We've only known what they've told us they've done and have hidden what we've done, who we are. This is why the lie is as much, if not more important than the distractions that they are putting out there for you to pay attention to and believe in. This is why it's so important to hold these truth talkers and these progressive revolutionaries out that they put out there, hold them accountable, because 99% of them are only talking about what this system is doing in real time. That's not where the power is. The power is where this system got that power to be on that platform. What they're talking about, what they're doing, for the most part, doesn't matter. Which is why it's so important to realize that when these people like Joe Rogan or Russell Brand is a better example, he gets out there promoting himself as a progressive thinker. He ties in religion, new age thought, supposedly outside of the mainstream belief systems, outside of the mainstream piece. He is not outside of that. He is firmly planted within that system. Those individuals are maintained to do nothing more than what Joe Rogan has been doing. Keeping you distracted, keeping you in a bubble of thought, making you believe that there are good people out there that are fighting the good fight. Why? Because if they're out there, then you don't have to think for yourself, just as the system does. They're doing the same thing the system does. If they're out there, you don't have to think. You don't have to act. Everything is being done, just like the school system. You're not smarter than the university system. This is how they attack you. How could you, a peasant, a small brain person, challenge the belief system of the strongest superpower the whole world has ever known? No. You keep your mouth shut, just like me, because I'm dumb. I don't even think to challenge what they're thinking about. And I'm smart. You must be dumber than me because you're younger than me. You come from a more fucked up upbringing. Your school system is ridiculous. You don't know how to think intellectually. So don't think at all, just like me. I let the people who are in charge think. That's how we got to where we are, the rulers of the world. And you know what else we're going to do? We're going to send people to Mars. We're going to send people back to the moon. We're even going to be able to move the soul and the consciousness, or whatever those two things are, because they say those two things interchangeably because they don't know what the fuck that is. They just want you to believe that they do know what that is and they can do what they're saying. We're going to be able to change one consciousness from one body to another. That is God level power. And once you let go of that power, that grip that they have over you, it opens up a whole new world of you, of your ability to think for yourself, to act, to see. You can see their moves more clearly. You can see what is you. You can see what is not you. That lightening up, that opening up of your entire reality changes you. It empowers you. And you don't have to have the answers. That's where they get their power. They tell you that they have all the answers. They don't. They have the illusions within their original illusions, coming from their historical lies, at the expense of your ancestral truth. Until you come to that realization, you're never going to be able to challenge what they're doing right now and what they're trying to do for the future. So these people like Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, the progressive movement, even the New Age movement, they are all out there to maintain the official narrative of history, of your ancestors having no intelligence, being nothing more than savages. They have been deemed savages because they want to stomp on their intelligence, stomp on their intellectual feats, so you don't have the ability to move forward and to create a solid foundation so that they can build their future lies for you to believe in.